and contracted to do the tunnel. When he started to do the tunnel, he was told first of all that it was through solid clay and therefore it would be a question of just digging it out. In practice, when it came to it, it was very unstable ground or shifting sands, and they had to build it and line it with bricks. 5 million or so of them, and they had to just find 5 million bricks, like, just go and buy 5 million bricks, will you? There was no B&Q and no Alice, and so they had to make them on site. They bought enough bricks to make a kiln, or several kilns, and then built the bricks themselves on site. It's got about 14, 15 shafts all the way down the length of it. It's a mile long and a bit, 15 shafts down there, 3 of which are big ones, 10-foot diameter, and the tunnel was dug from either end and down these 3 shafts. And the other shafts are just ventilation shafts. So it was a pretty good undertaking. Tunnel building in those days was not a new art. It was been done for 100 years before that by the canal builders, but it was the first time that a long railway tunnel had been built. It's actually owned by the Leicester City Council, so this little bit of wooded area here is not Glenfield Parish or Blaby RDC or Leicester County. It's actually owned by the Leicester City Council. They bought the line from the British Rail in the 1950s, deciding that it was a good thing to have. The line was closing down, let's buy it. They paid a £5 for it, plus VAT, someone says, but they paid a £5 for it. And then decided that they didn't really want it, because they couldn't think of any use for it. So they offered it for sale by sealed tender, and they got absolutely nobody interested in buying it at all, not even at a £5. So they went to Plan B and sold the cutting at the Leicester end, which is just the same as this really. They sold it to a firm of builders who filled it in and built a housing estate over it, thereby shooting themselves in the foot, because it then meant they could never reopen the tunnel again. But it's complete. The tunnel portal at the end, it's just like this, it's just it's buried under the car park of that garage on the left hand side as you come up the Gooby Road. So there you go. There is an access to it, and there's a picture of it. It's a manhole in this guy's garden. And you undo the manhole and you go down 45 feet on a concrete shaft, and at the bottom is the portal like this. And in that is the rest of the tunnel. So it's all there. About 10 years or so ago, a similar tunnel down at Canterbury, on the Canterbury-Whitstable line, or the Craven-Winkle line that was known, built by Stephenson's, at the same time, in about 1831 that was, perhaps a little bit earlier, and that collapsed and took with it Kent University campus building. So they weren't too happy about that, and the City Council therefore had a survey done on this one, and it was found that this also was in danger of collapsing. Where the weight of the shaft was protruding onto the tunnel, it was bowing out. And there were also another 15 places or so along there that needed strengthening. So they did a deal with this company that do strengthening with concrete and put cast concrete hoops around in 30 odd places between here and the end. And they did that by putting shuttering up and pumping cement into the shuttering. From here they did the first one through a 4-inch pipe, hydraulic ram and a diesel generator, and they brought the lorry down and tipped the cement and so on like that. The next one, the machine was not strong enough to pump it down any further, so they had to do it down the shaft itself into the shuttering, and that went fine. And when they came to do the third one, it was a bit taller, the chimney, or it's a bit higher above the ground level, and the cement went down faster than they thought it was going to do, and the net result was the shuttering wasn't strong enough, and 50 tonnes of wet cement and 5 tonnes of shuttering finished up on the floor of the tunnel. And it's rapid hardening with little staples in it to reinforce it, so they were faced with a problem. Right, what do you do with all this? At the same time, the City Council reported what had happened, and the lady in the City Council was responsible for bat protection, and I can assure you that bats are protected far better than anybody else. Says, I didn't know they were doing that, get them out are not allowed in there between the end of October and the end of April. And neither are we, by the way. So they all came out, and that gave them time to think about what they were going to do, and they redesigned the shuttering. And then did it all from inside by taking the diesel generator in there and the power unit in there, and taking the cement in there and little tipper cups. So there we go. So we've got a tunnel. It's a heritage building. It's grade 2 listed portal. It's grade 2 listed chimneys. The rest of it isn't listed because you can't see it. And English heritage are only interested in things you can see. So we're going to go for a scheduled ancient monument next, but that's another story. It's a bit dark in there, to say the least. We've got a bit of light, but not much. It's a bit cold. We're only going 100 yards. It's safe to go through the rest of it, but we ain't safe to bring all you out if something happens to one of you. So